Many people want to see the continuation of Shadow of the Colossus, and I'm definitely someone who wants to see it as well, guys. I would love to see a continuation of this game at some point or another, but I think we got to talk about the past here in order to talk about the present as well as the future. So let's get into it. In an article coming to us, guys, from Christian Steriden of Screen Rant, Shadow of the Colossus has been renowned as a masterpiece, and even 15 years after the game's release, the prospect of a sequel is immensely exciting. Team Ico's Shadow of the Colossus is often praised as one of the most epic video games ever created. The project utilizes its immersive world, minimalist narrative, and breathtaking premise to elevate its quality far past the reach of other games. With the recent PlayStation 4 remake, Shadow of the Colossus is garnering even more attention as new gamers are allowed to experience the spectacle. However, with this resurgence in popularity comes a fleeting question: will a sequel to this masterpiece ever be realized? If a sequel to Shadow of the Colossus were to happen, it would be essential that Team Ico carry over the same tone to its successor. The actual doom and gloom that is felt throughout the Wanderer's adventures is a stark contrast to the triumph one feels when they are about to slay a Colossus. A sequel would need to demonstrate mastery over both tones, much like its predecessor. To achieve this tonal continuity, the usage of sound and music would have to remain as perfect as they do in the original. Shadow of the Colossus' tone is articulated beautifully through its immersive or impressive soundtrack that is constantly changing to fit the player's emotions. And I really got to, I have to agree with this. I think it's very well written, guys. Definitely, Shadow of the Colossus should definitely take things from the past. I also think, though, that it needs to evolve, right? For the new age of gaming and such. So take things that worked, take things that didn't work necessarily, and how can you make all of those things better and even top what was the first Shadow of the Colossus title, I think is what you got to look at. I mean, I always look at, with any game, guys, you look at, as a developer or publisher, you look at what are you doing right, what are you doing wrong, and what can you do better moving forward. And I think Shadow of the Colossus is definitely one of those titles that they've done so much right. Not, there's certainly things they can work on, but it's definitely something like, how can we top this? And is it possible for them to do that? Because it's one of those things, like, we know The Last Guardian, that was another one that they were thinking to themselves, could we see a Last Guardian 2 at some point? And Shadow of the Colossus, all of these are considered to potentially be in the same universe. They left it kind of up to the player to determine that. But nonetheless, I feel that a sequel to this could be something incredibly special. So one interesting thought to ponder in a potential sequel to Shadow of the Colossus is where exactly the story would take place. Of course, the narrative could take place in the same location as the first game. However, the secluded nature of Wander's story makes it feel like its own arc. While it doesn't have a happy ending for Wander, bringing the player back to the same location could remove some emotional weight from the first game. Rather, going for another self-contained narrative may be a more promising idea. As for the location itself, the sky is the limit. It could be a fantasy setting, much like its predecessor, a futuristic setting, or maybe something resembling modern times. Although Team Ico would probably embrace a fantasy setting once again, the thought of a futuristic Shadow of the Colossus sounds incredibly interesting. And I got to agree. I mean, without a doubt, guys. All this discussion finally leads to the Colossi themselves. Simply put, it's hard to say exactly what Team Ico would do with these new beasts. However, Shadow of the Colossus' beta had many more unused Colossi that never made it into the finished project, which I think, guys, really, that's something they could capitalize on, because the beta had all of these different unused Colossi that never came into the finished project, and I think that's a way that they could really kind of ramp up a lot more excitement around a sequel. Some of these designs are that of a phoenix, a monkey, and even a strange winged devil type monster. If they were to continue with the fantasy setting, these designs may be given new life in a sequel, although more than likely, Team Ico will focus their attention on creating new and original Colossi to fight. Overall, Shadow of the Colossus is more than deserving of a sequel. The notion of a new location and new Colossi is enough to make any Team Ico fan foam at the mouth. While a new installment doesn't seem likely right now, the concepts within the first game are incredibly sound. So, look, guys, I think that when you look at any title and we look at could there be a possible sequel, we got to really look at the publisher, obviously the developer. We got to look at a number of factors, the reception here. We got to look at the sales, things of that nature. And really, all of the above check, the boxes are checked, right? When it comes to Shadow of the Colossus with a potential sequel. The sales were good. We got, obviously unbelievable reception. We still love the publisher as well as the developer, that being, of course, Team Ico. I think Team Ico, guys, obviously, there's a couple of things that come to mind here. They do Shadow of the Colossus. They did Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, The Last Guardian, and now it's like, okay, so what's really going to be next long term for them? Could they go back and make Shadow of the Colossus 2, or could they go back and make The Last Guardian 2, or would they make another IP that is separate but could potentially be in that same universe? That to me is what sounds more realistic than them making a Shadow of the Colossus 2, even though I would personally love to see a Shadow of the Colossus 2 go back to that universe and into that world, because I think it could expand upon the legacy, the lore, the story, all those things of Shadow of the Colossus. I think it sounds more realistic to me that they would just create something totally new that could potentially be in that same universe. But let me know, guys, what do you all think? Do you think that we'll get a Shadow of the Colossus 2 at any point in the foreseeable future? And what do you think it could look like? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more of the Shadow of the Colossus 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.